Roadrunners, it's Miss Newberry, your music teacher, here to talk to you today about stringed instruments. So we're going to start with the guitars, because I have my guitar, and Mr. Mike has his guitar. Yeah, so you can see they're really different. My guitar is an acoustic guitar. That means I can play my guitar without any electricity. And I can still get a noise out of it. Mr. Mike's guitar is an electric guitar. He has to plug his guitar into an amplifier to get sound out of it. But then once he does, he can do all kinds of cool stuff, like he can turn the volume up and down, just like you do on the stereo and stuff. He can flip different switches to change the sound and stuff. So we want to talk to you about how music is made on a guitar and how you can change the notes on a guitar. And I think I'm going to ask Mr. Mike to demonstrate. The guitar has these things called frets. Those are the bars that you can see. They kind of look like lines going across the neck of the guitar. And when you press your finger down on a string next to one of the frets, stop playing for a minute, Mr. Mike. When you press your finger down on the string next to one of the frets, it makes the note higher. So, Mr. Mike, can you first play a string without pressing your finger down on it? Good. And now show us what it sounds like if you press your finger next to the first fret. See, it's a little higher. How about the second fret? Yeah, how about the third fret? Right, so each one makes it a little higher because it's making the string a little bit shorter. Now, the frets on a guitar are very close together. They're a half step apart. So if we wanted to play a scale like our do, re, mi scale, we would have to skip some frets. Mike, do you want to demonstrate that, or should I?
Maybe you should.
Okay.
Because
so, you see, I have the same frets on my guitar, just like Mr. Mike was doing, only my guitar sounds different because it's acoustic. I'm going to start on my highest string. I'm going to do my second highest, alright? And I'm going to show you how I can make a scale like our do, re, mi scale. So, do you see how I had to skip some frets? I did not stop at every fret. Do, re, mi, fa, mi, re, do. So when you want to learn how to play a scale on the guitar, you have to learn which frets to skip and which ones not to skip. Now, Mr. Mike, do you think you could play some scales for us on your guitar? Because Mr. Mike knows lots of fancy scales. Some fancy scales on your guitar.
Well, how about some not so fancies?
Okay.
We'll start with the G scale.
Okay, that sounds great. Mr. Mike, does knowing those scales help you when you play those fancy guitar solos?
Oh, absolutely, because
Yeah.
solos are made up of scales.
Oh, so playing scales is really important, right?
It's very, very important.
Yep, okay. Do you want to show the kids anything else? Any other scales or melodies on your guitar?
Well, I'd like to show them, if they ever want to play, the form of a major scale.
Okay. Go ahead,
Which
Mr.
would
Mike.
be, let's start with C, and this is because this string is E,
Okay.
F, G, A, B, C.
Wow, do you see how sometimes he skipped a fret and sometimes he didn't? Could you do that again, Mr. Mike?
We're going to start off with E,
Okay.
E, F,
He
G,
skips a fret,
A,
skips a fret,
B,
skips a fret,
C.
and then he doesn't. Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Mike. That was very interesting.
So a C scale now
Uh-huh.
will be
Very nice, Mr. Mike. I want to take a break and show the kids some other stringed instruments. Now, all the stringed instruments we're playing today are called plucked stringed instruments because we pluck the strings either with our fingers or with some kind of a pick. So here's another little plucked string instrument. This one is called a mandolin. Can you hear that the strings sound a little higher than the guitar strings, but it still has frets kind of like a guitar. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. I don't know if you can see my fingers. I'm going to do it again. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, sol, fa, mi, re, do. And you notice the mandolin has little sets of 2 strings. So when I play E, I'm actually plucking 2 strings that both play E at the same time. Now I also have another one here to show you. This is the dulcimer. Now look close at the dulcimer. You can see that the dulcimer frets are farther apart. So I can actually play a scale on the dulcimer and I don't have to skip any frets. And the bottom 2 strings, that's called a drone. They just play the same note all the time, but the top string changes notes. It's hard to do holding it like this. Usually I put it on the table. So that's the dulcimer. That's how the dulcimer works. There are other stringed instruments like the violin and the cello. They're called the bowed strings. They actually have a bow made out of horsehair that you draw across the string to make the sound. But I don't have a stringed instrument to show you, so we're going to stick with the plucked strings, and another time we can show you the bowed strings. So, Mr. Mike, how about if we play them a little song on our guitars?
Okay.
Okay.
We can do that.
How about a blues?
A blues?
A blues, yeah. I know the kids would like to hear you play a blues solo on the guitar. Is there?
Should we play it in C?
Whatever key is good for you, Mr. Mike.
I think C
E would be better, don't you?
E?
Isn't E better for the guitar?
I think if they wanted to play it.
Okay, remember we're just demonstrating right now.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So, what's the best key for you to play a blues in to demonstrate for the kids what it sounds like?
A.
A. All right. All right, you're the soloist.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4. Some more. So you couldn't see me, but what I was doing was I was playing chords. I was playing more than one note at a time, and I was playing it in a rhythm, like that. But Mr. Mike, he was playing the melody. On guitar, we call that playing the lead or playing the solo. So he was playing the exciting, interesting solo part, and he was improvising. He was making it up as he went along, and I was playing the chords to give him a rhythm to fit into. All right. So, Mr. Mike, anything else that you'd like to say about the guitar?
Yes. you must learn your piano first.
Wow, did you hear what Mr. Mike said? Learn the piano first? Why, Mr. Mike?
Because the piano explains how the guitar works.
I understand what you're saying. I think that what he's saying is that when you look at the piano, you can see all the notes laid out for you in order, in a row. And so it helps you understand how all the notes fit together. Is that right, Mr. Mike?
That is exactly right.
Okay.
When you have a black key between two white keys, that represents a half step.
Right.
Which is represented on the guitar like this.
And those are also called the flats and the sharps, the black keys on the piano.
Yes.
Yep.
And when you don't use the black key and you go from one white key to the next, that's what you get.
That's called a whole step. Whole step. Okay. Right.
So it's very important that you learn the mechanics of your piano.
Okay.
And I'd be glad to teach anybody to play a song on the guitar.
Okay, so maybe in the future Mr. Mike will come and teach us some more about the guitar. But for today, we just wanted to demonstrate for you, and keep that advice in mind. Study the piano too, because it will help you understand the guitar. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Mike, for joining us today. Oh, guess what? I forgot. I made some homemade instruments. In case you want to try and make a homemade string instrument, I tried some experiments to make homemade string instruments. So, this is something we used to do when I was young and in school. Only we used to use cigar boxes back then. We used to make cigar box guitars with rubber bands. I don't have any cigar boxes because I don't smoke cigars. But I have tons and tons of tissue boxes. So I thought maybe I can make a tissue box guitar. So I put rubber bands on my tissue box. And I got a couple different notes. They don't sound that loud. Oh, it actually sounds better on that side. So you can try that with rubber bands. I tried this with hair bands, but the hair bands were too small for the tissue box. So I tried the hair bands on a different kind of box. It's a Little Debbie snack cake box, because somebody in our house likes to eat Little Debbie snack cakes. I won't say who. It's Mr. Mike. He likes them. Okay, so I cut a hole. See how that kind of looks like the hole in a guitar? And I actually left the top of the box open because I noticed that it sounded louder when I did that. Jeez. It almost sounds like me, re, do, if you listen real hard. Okay, so those were two of the things I tried to make a homemade string instrument. Then I thought, well, people used to make basses, string basses out of wash tubs. And I thought, wow, maybe I can make a wash tub bass, except I don't have a wash tub. So here's what I came up with. This is a big cardboard box. And I got a stick. All right, so you need a stick, a string, and a box. I tied the string to the end of my stick, and then I put the stick down in the box. Whoops, to kind of make a triangle. Almost looks like a sailboat or something. All right, now the string can get a note, and if I stretch it tighter, it'll get a higher note. Oh, I forgot to tell you, in order to keep the string from slipping out, I actually tied, I don't know if you can see it, I actually tied a pencil around the string on the other side of the box, so the string will not come out when I pull on it. You could make a knot or use a washer to do that. So I can make different notes by tightening or loosening the string. You know what kind of string works really good if you have the kind of string that you use for a laundry line? like to hang your clothes on, that kind of string works really good. I didn't have any. This is just regular plain old string. So you can also change the note by making the string shorter with your fingers. Ooh, those notes weren't so good. Let's try these. I was trying to get do, re, mi, but I kind of got do, re, mi. I kind of got sad do, re, mi. Do, re, mi, re, do. So this is a fun thing to experiment with, though, and see if you can get different notes from it. And you can learn how to change the notes, how you change the notes either by making the string shorter or by stretching the string. Ooh, that's what I forgot. Mr. Mike, you were going to show us how you can stretch the strings on the electric guitar and get a different kind of sound. Do you remember that? Do you think you can show us that? How you can change the note by bending a string on the guitar?
Okay, we'll go back to
Oh, look at that. He can do that on the guitar too. Woo! Excellent. Okay, so now we showed you a little bit about how stringed instruments work. I would encourage you to experiment around your house and see if you can find some things to build your own stringed instrument. See if you can get some different notes out of it. And we thank you for joining us today. Bye-bye. Say bye, Mr. Mike.
bye. Goodbye.